Let's take a look at some questions that might show up on test or quiz coming up here for chapter 3. First, take a look at some true false. We've got limited liability as one characteristic of the corporate form of business organization. Limited liability. Another word for liability is responsibility. And so you do have limited liability with the corporate form of business organization because as a stockholder, you only can lose up to the amount of your investment and you will not be responsible for the decisions that the corporate managers make on a daily basis. Question 2, one advantage of a corporation is the ease of obtaining a charter. It's false. It's not easy to get a charter. Generally, you got to hire a lawyer and get some help and get permission from the state of California, from the Secretary of State. Question 3, sole proprietorships must request a charter. That is incorrect. Sole proprietorship, easiest form of business organization, don't need a charter. Charters are only required to get permission from each state in which you want to operate your corporation. Let's look at the multiple choice. Number 4, this regulates the sale of stock in a corporation, and we learned that was Securities and Exchange Commission, federal agency, and so they regulate the sale of stock and other types of financial instruments. Question 5, a merger of corporations involved at different steps of manufacturing or marketing is known as, and we talked about this in class, and that would be a vertical merger. And we talked about the oil companies such as Shell Oil, involved in the production of oil. They are involved in drilling oil, shipping oil, transporting oil through pipelines, refining oil. So this is a vertical merger. We also talked about sun-kissed growers being involved in the forestry business, owning lots of trees in the Klamath Forest so that they can produce lots of cardboard. And so they can reduce their costs and produce cardboard because they need boxes for shipping their citrus products throughout the world. Let's see here. Number 6, we've got a picture of a particular corporation and some related corporations. So oil refineries, drilling, and gas. So we've got some gasoline stations here, some retail outlets. And this, once again, is an example of a vertical merger. Here's one that we really didn't talk too much about here, and that is something called a conglomerate. A conglomerate is a situation where businesses merge, but they have 4 or more unrelated businesses. So if you look at here in this example, QRS Corporation, they're involved in cosmetics, paint supplies, snack foods. These are unrelated products. And so when a large organization is involved in lots of different types of products that are really not related, that's known as a conglomerate. Conglomerate, one of those words you might remember from your physical science class, like a particular type of rock that's made up of lots of other types of minerals. Here's another merger, Children's Universe Incorporated. So here's a business that is selling products to children or juvenile products. Here's some other businesses that they own: Toys Direct, Santa's Toy Shop, Eddie's Toy Emporium. What do they have in common? They have toys in common. Therefore, you are looking at a horizontal merger, much like what we talked about with the Kroger grocery store, where they own several different types of grocery stores, but they're all groceries, and we call that a horizontal merger. Oh, here's a Kroger question right now. What type of merger does the passage describe? You got Kroger up here looking to buy Fred Meyer. I remember when this happened some years ago over in Klamath Falls. And once again, that is a horizontal type of a merger. According to the passage, what is the reason why Kroger is going to do this merge? And so let's see here. I'm going to let you go through that one because you need to read this passage. Not too difficult, but you'll read in here the reason why they want to do that. Give you a hint. They probably want to get larger, become a major player in the grocery business. What's the most common form of business organization in the United States? Sole proprietorship is the most common form. Keep in mind that it is the corporation or the corporate form of ownership that produces the most revenue. What is the main strength of the corporate form of business organization? Corporations, that legal entity that allows organizations to raise a lot of money and get big so they can produce a lot of stuff at a very reasonable price. And that is right there, ease of raising financial capital. Government document granting permission. That is a charter. Basic ownership. Anytime you see that, basic ownership in a corporation is always going to be common stock. Common stockholders are the ones who have voting rights as far as electing the board of directors. The board of directors is going to hire the managers of the corporation. All of the following are strengths of the partnership form of business organization, except partnership. Let's see. So they're all strengths. Ease of management, fairly easy. Limited life. That is really not a strength. It's easy to establish. There are lack special type. Limited life is not an advantage. If one of the partners dies, the partnership dissolves, has to be reformed. We talked about this. We talked about this in class. Just like a marriage is a partnership, and if one of those partners dies, well, the marriage is terminated. So it's the same thing with a partnership. 16. Corporation that has at least 4 businesses, each making unrelated products. This is a conglomerate. Horizontal mergers involve 2 or more firms in different countries, 2 or more firms that produce the same kind of product, 2 or more firms, different steps. This C is a vertical merger. A is a multinational corporation. D, 2 or more firms that produce different products. We are looking at B, 2 or more firms that produce the same kind of products. This would be like Kroger, grocery store, owning more than one grocery store. Which of the following statements is true? All conglomerates are multinationals. All multinationals are conglomerates. A multinational is a corporation that operates in more than one country. And the best answer here is that a multinational is often a conglomerate, operating in several different countries. And just by the fact that you're operating in different countries, you're probably going to have differentiated products to meet the needs of that particular marketplace that you are operating in. 19, which are important for their ability to move resources, products, and financial capital across national boundaries with relative ease. Right there, multinationals, multinational corporations, very important, moving resources and products. It is a global economy, and all of us are interdependent upon one another. 20, what is a major reason for conglomerate mergers? And this is the answer here, conglomerates, diversification. If you're an automobile manufacturer, say General Motors, and there is a downturn in the economy and cars are not selling well, it'd be a good idea to be involved in other types of business. For example, a company like General Motors could be involved in the defense industry. At one time, I believe they were involved in the credit industry, General Motors Auto Credit Corporation. Of course, that would be tied to the automobile industry. General Motors involved in producing locomotives, railroad transportation. So diversification is diversifying that which you produce so that they are oftentimes unrelated products. And so that's what conglomerates do. Another big conglomerate here in the United States is Disney. For example, Disney is heavily involved in movie production, and they're also heavily produced in theme parks. So those are unrelated products. And I think that's it. 20 questions for review. Have any questions, make sure you ask them in class. And next week we will begin demand.